right, so here we have God Mode from Denise. Now, what is God Mode? God Mode is a saturator drive style plugin, but it's unique in that it allows you to apply your saturation anywhere you want. So sort of like multi-band saturation, except you don't have those crossover points and maybe only like 2-3 bands. Here we can adjust this and use this sort of like a parametric EQ and draw in any kind of shape that we want and add saturation, liveliness, if you will, to any band range that we want. Operation overall, pretty simple. So let's just go over it real quick. So first off, why use saturation? A lot of times it's for color, it's for maybe clarity, it's for pulling something out of a mix, it's for making something maybe a little bit larger sounding overall, or more lively sounding, because saturation is going to again give it color. It can also generate obviously harmonics as we pull this in more, and that's what really sort of brings it out of the mix more. Okay, so operation, as you can see, I can affect any of these ranges however you want. We have a bunch of different nodes that we can just drag around. I can click a node, and up here maybe I want to change the frequency by using this control here. I can change the gain here. I can change the quality or the Q or the bandwidth of each of these filters however I want. So wider or more narrow to affect just what I want. I can also use my mouse scroll wheel up here. Same thing right here, by the way, right on the node. I can go ahead and just scroll up and down to change that Q. Again, make any shape that you want. Down here we have a random, pretty self-explanatory. Click that, you're going to get random shapes. Again, all kinds of shapes here. Let's come up here real quick. So we have live. Now understand, God Mode uses high quality linear style filters, which are going to be very high quality and phase coherent. Play it. Turn it off. Hear that? It sounded like a stutter. That's because there's latency involved in linear phase filters. If you don't want any latency, you want to use it live, you can actually just turn on live. It's going to use normal style filters now, and you're not going to have any of that latency. So switch it off, switch it on, turn live off. Right? That's just because there's a little bit of latency. So for mixing, make sure live is off, in my opinion. If you want to use it live, just tap that live button right there. We also have split, which is going to split the signal and sort of delay the left and right sides. We're going to look at that later on, but it gives you this really wide sound, which is pretty cool. Down here we have side tape. Again, we're going to look at that later on. This basically allows us to set up our side chain, okay, and turn this on, and it's going to apply that tape saturation based on our side chain track, whether it's a kick or hi-hats or whatever. So you can get some sort of rhythmic effects with your saturation. We have 3 types of saturation here. We have tape, we have warp, just drag it to put in the amount that you want, and then we have a buzz. We have high pass and low pass filters in the pre and the post. So if I want to dial out some low end, turn it on here on the pre, or maybe some top end here on the post, just your standard high pass, low pass filters. Mix, then you have a pull, and this comes into the push pull technology, which is based around a Pultec. So let's actually open up a Pultec, because a lot of people talk about Pultecs and sometimes people don't know what they're talking about. So what is a Pultec? A Pultec EQ, essentially when people talk about a Pultec, what they usually mean is an EQ that allows you to set your center frequency. And then instead of having one knob that does both the boosting and cutting, we actually have 2 knobs here. So this knob here is boost, and this knob here is cut or attenuate, which is cut or reduce. And what this does is we're centered around, in this case, 60 hertz. So I can boost at 60 hertz and cut at 60 hertz at the same exact time. Now that doesn't sound like a good idea, but you're going to see a lot of videos on YouTube with clickbaity titles that say things like, the low end trick that nobody knows but me. I'm the only one, man. Is this snake oil, man?
What's that supposed to be? Some kind of sick joke?
First off, they've been doing this trick since the 1950s.
Hey, Bert, come on out and meet all these nice people, please.
Are you people positive you know what you're doing?
Oh, I think we can manage without wrecking it.
So it's not a new thing. It sounds good. It can give you a different overall frequency shape. And that's why people do it. So centered around 60, if I were to boost this and overboost it to say 8 and then cut it by 4, that's actually going to sound different, much different actually, than if I didn't cut it at all and only boost it up to 4. You're going to get a different shape overall. And people do this all the time. On the low end, it makes it thicker, might make it smoother. It might actually provide more clarity. Just depends on your, your exact settings. But that's what people usually mean when they talk about a Pultec, is you set your frequency and then you can boost and cut at the same time. Okay. So back to God mode. So we have this pull right here. Let me click this folder and we'll just choose a preset here. A lot of presets involved here. Let's say a general drum bus boost there. Let me just hear this real quick. Okay, that's a little too much on that warp, in my opinion. I like the tape and maybe some buzz right there. And actually just pull this up here. So with the pull, if I pull the pull down to 0%, you can see our total boost right there. As I pull this out, you can see what happens to this gray background. You can see it's pulling it down. Again, this is different. If I pull it out 50%, this actually sounds different than just moving my entire curve down 40%. We end up getting a smoother sound, perhaps, or maybe a larger sound by putting that pull in there instead of just pulling this down and not saturating it as much. Right, that sounds obviously different than over boosting and then cutting out, because again, you're driving it into the circuit and then pulling it back. Now down here we have a pan for the dry and the wet. So let me just pull the mix all the way down. I can pan the dry, so you can have some really cool effects. Let's pull the mix up now. Pan the wet. So you can have dry on one side, wet on the other side, whatever you want. You can double click here to set those to the center. Then you have your makeup gain. All pretty self-explanatory stuff right here. Okay. Of course, create your own presets, save them right here, cycle through them down here. All right. So that's everything you really need to know about it. So let's go ahead and hear it on some more sources. Yeah.
Okay.
So here we have it on a bass, and we're actually just using a preset here. We're using this bass preset right there with a little bit of alterations that I prefer. So it's off right now. All right. And as you can tell up here, we've really saturated that top end. So that's going to bring out that top end. It's going to push it forward. Go and hear that. So too much saturation there. Pull it down a bit. So we're getting more harmonics on that top end. We can actually see it in this graph right here. Turn it off again. Right, pulls it out. Actually makes it a little bit more clear. Come down here to our snare track. Now this is just the snare. Of course, you can use it on a full drum loop. You can use it on basically anything you want, actually. So bypass right now. So snare sounds okay. Let's go ahead and turn on God mode to add some saturation, some liveliness to that. Again, we have some tape saturation here and some buzz, and we're pulling it out a bit. And we have the dry and the wet panned just a bit for a cool effect. So now it's cutting through more. If I turn this buzz down, it's not quite as wide and thick. So I'm going to use the buzz to thicken that up. You hear that? Comes through. All right, that's it on a snare. Of course, use it on a kick, use it on a guitar, use it on whatever you want. Use it on a full mix. So here's a full EDM mix. We'll start with it bypassed. Pretty cool. But again, with some saturation, we're bringing even more liveliness into this with a bit of tape saturation and a little bit of warp. In this case, we're really pulling that top end up too. So you're going to hear more separation from the low end and the top end now. It's going to cut through even better. Again, you heard that little skip, that's just the latency. It's not a problem with God mode. It's not a problem with Studio One. It's literally just the nature of linear phase filters, linear filters. There's a bit of latency in there. So if I wanted to do this on live, I can do it on live. So obviously, right, it's not just the volume. I can even turn the volume down. Let's put this back on our linear phase filters because they're more phase coherent. Right, so it's not just the volume makeup that I was using. I turned it down minus 1.5 dB whenever I turn this on, and you can hear the levels the same, but it's more clear now. There's a more defined low end and a more defined top end because a lot of because of the saturation effect, the color, the harmonics, all of that cool stuff. So use it on full mixes as well. What about on this vocal? We're going to use the split now, and the split gets to be pretty cool. All right, so let's start with it turned off. Okay.
My foolish heart, my foolish heart.
Sounds good, right? Let's go ahead and turn it on, and now we have some tape, some warp, and some buzz. We're really focusing around this top end to open it up and saturate it a bit.
My foolish heart, my foolish heart.
It just sounds more live like that.
My foolish heart.
Again, back on.
My foolish heart.
So now let's look at the split, and that's going to delay the left and right sides just a little bit and give us a really wide stereo sound. Now this is a mono track, but here in Studio One, cool thing you can do is just turn your tracks to a stereo output. Real simple, real easy, no weird routing that you have to do. So again, just with split turned off.
My foolish heart.
And then turn it on.
My foolish heart. My foolish heart. My foolish heart's gonna sin again.
But we can also make it even better by adding another Denise plugin. This is Perfect Room, which is a reverb style plugin. So let's go ahead and pop that on too.
My foolish heart, my foolish heart, my foolish heart's gonna sin again. My foolish heart.
All right, so that is our split right there. Using it on a vocal, again, livens it up by adding that saturation. It makes it sound pretty cool by putting a reverb on there as well. So let's move on down here. So now we have this bass, and then we have this hi-hat. We're gonna look at the side chain here, the side tape. So let's listen to the bass first. All right, now we'll go ahead and turn on God mode. And we got a lot of tape saturation in this and a bit of buzz. And we're really accentuating this top end right here. Making it sound dirty, gritty, and grimy, right? Let's check out the hi-hats. So on the hi-hats, I have noise too. This is also from Denise. If I turn this off, so that's just the hi-hats. Using some blue noise, have the full turned way down here. Let's go and turn this on. Right, makes them cut through. All right, so that's our hi-hats. And what we're gonna do is come back to our bass track, and this insert, this plugin is on the bass track. And then what we're gonna do, make sure this is on solo. What we're gonna do, come up here and just activate our side chain, and I have our side chain track as the hi-hat track. So now, as long as I turn on side tape, this hi-hat track is gonna trigger our tape saturation for us and give us sort of a modulated effect for saturation, which again, pretty cool thing that you can do. Now, let me start with this turn down so you can really hear what's happening, and then we'll actually dial it into more of something that I personally would use. So I'm gonna pull this way up here. Again, side tape, it's on. Hear that? So you can hear what's happening. Is those hi-hats are triggering that saturation effect on our bass track, okay? So again, you can use any secondary source that you want. Let me dial this down, and now take a listen to it. So instead of just straight saturation, we're getting that tape saturation in there, sort of modulated along with that hi-hat track in this case. All right, pretty cool. Again, a lot of stuff you can do. Try it on guitars, try it on vocals, try it on your synthesizers, try it on whatever you want, man. God Mode from Denise, and you can check it out more over here from denise.io. Of course, link will be in the description. You want to check it out more. They have a several videos on their site that you can check out. Pick it up. It's not even that expensive. And use saturation however you want. Draw any shape you want, just like a parametric EQ, and liven up those tracks. Make them cut through your mix just by using God Mode from Denise.